Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's Friday, and it is our Stories of Hope series. I have some amazing guests lined up for you today, and I'm so excited to introduce you to them. My first guest is Karin Del Maestro. She's a health and transformation and calmness coach, and she's been working in the health and wellness field for over 20 plus years. But it was after her own breast cancer and BRCA2 diagnosis in 2018 that she realized she was uniquely qualified to support breast cancer survivors, helping them after treatment has ended to calm their minds and getting back their get up and go and stop putting their needs on the back burner and feel amazing in the skin that they are in, no matter how many scars they may have. Karin specializes in working with breast cancer survivors, genetic mutation carriers, and healthy lifestyle seekers who readily focus their time and energy on their loved ones, but find it challenging to make time and take care of themselves. Karin has been featured on CNBC, Fox 4, Wink News, and as a guest speaker on numerous podcasts and summits, and now on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Kornelia. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to have you here. And obviously, you have, overcome a very severe loss and traumatic story yourself. And then at the same time, you're also helping many people now with the work that you're doing. What is the one thing that people say to you now that you hear people speak to you about?
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that crops up all the time. And in fact, somebody who's living with stage 4 cancer said it to me this morning. And they say, Karin, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep going. And so it's truly my honor to get to inspire others to keep going through tough stuff, right? When life happens and throws things at us, which it unfortunately always seems to do, it's how do we get through that without feeling like the rug's been pulled out from under us every single time?
Yes. I mean, so many people, it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're facing an illness, whether you're facing a relationship loss or a parent, suicide. There's so many things that people are dealing with in this lifetime that we're awake to feel to heal. My what I like to say, feel to heal. It's a lot to sit with and be with. But what I hear you saying is that you can get through it, and that you can also still be engaged to have a joyful life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think joy is one of the things for me that I focus on, choosing joy every single day, whatever it is, whether it's my cup of tea, whether it's taking a breath outside, whether it's having an Epsom salt bath. To me, I look at those things with intention and say, I'm inviting joy, not just into my life, but into my body. Because to me, that's also part of that healing process, is inviting good things into our body. And I think that the main way for me is I grew up feeling like I never fit in. I've always thought differently. And I find that a lot of people who are involved in healing and transformation spaces are also blessed with that same gift, right? We get to think outside of the box a little bit. And so it took me a long time in my life before I realized that not fitting in was actually my superpower, and that I get to embrace that feeling of being different. And so it was through going through divorce, life-altering car accident, the loss of both my parents and my younger brother, moving 7 times in 8 years, breast cancer, difficult things in life, that I realized that there was one thing that I focused on as I was going through all of those things. And it's really a mindset shift, and not always an easy one for people to make. I'd love to share it with you if you.
Please do.
For me, and this is the Brit in me coming out, I think of my body as a teapot, right? And all day long, I'm a carer. I love to take care of people and nurture people, and that's who I am in my core. And so all day long, I'm pouring from my teapot into other people's teacups, right? Giving of myself to others. But it was as I was going through these difficult times that I realized, but Karin, what if your teapot's empty and it's dried up and you've got nothing else to give? What happens then? And we end up getting, unfortunately, resentful and angry because everybody still wants us to pour into them. That's become the expectation. So instead of saying, forget about everybody else, I ask the question, what am I going to do today to top up my teapot? Because if we can keep pouring into ourselves, mentally, physically, emotionally, I think it's very, and spiritually, all of the holistic ways that we can, then we end up with more to give. And so for me, every single day, even as I'm going through something very difficult, I'm saying, Karin, what can you do today to top up your teapot? How can you take care of yourself today? Now, there's been times where the answer has been, make sure you're drinking your water, Karin. Just get enough water, and knowing that that's enough, that that's okay, right? Because as a recovering people pleaser and a recovering perfectionist, previously in my life, that water wouldn't have been enough, but that's not enough. That's not going to keep me healthy. That's not going to give me more energy. But it stops you from going back to ground zero. And that for me has been the shift. So the question to ask yourself every day, no matter what you're going through in life, what can I do today to top up my teapot so that we can take care of ourselves and others too? Because I think in society, we have been somewhat brainwashed to believe that it's an either-or situation. And it isn't. We can do both. We can take care of ourselves and others. And so for me, that has been the biggest shift, is always, what can I do to take care of me? And like I said, it could be as simple as sticking your head out of the door and taking 5 breaths, but they're mindful and they're intentional. And you're filling yourself up with that air, that oxygen. It could be meditation, breath work. It could be going for a walk. It could be calling a friend that's not going to judge you if you fall apart. You know, I mean, it could be reading a great book or watching your favorite funny movie. Anything like that. But to me, it's these things that are simple, they're free, and they don't take much time. And those are good enough, right?
Yeah.
They're good enough.
Yeah, those are all excellent ways to begin nurturing the part of you that has been neglected because we're so busy giving to other people. I want to let the audience know how they can look you up and how they can find out more about you. Like, give us your social media and also give us your website.
Absolutely. The website is easy, karindelmaestro.com. So that's Karin with an I. Social media, If you're a breast cancer survivor, you can find me at Healthy Living After Breast Cancer on Facebook. And on Instagram, it's Karin, Karin Del, Del 34.
So I love that last name too, by the way. that is
Stole
so,
it from my husband.
I think that's so cool. You know how you said that you were at a place where you didn't feel that you would fit into this world. I felt the same way also during my healing journey, during my evolutionary journey, personal shadow work journey. I also felt that way when I realized that we were never meant to fit in. We were meant to create the new. And
Yes.
so stop trying to fit into something old that's not welcoming you, that's not sustainable, and really step outside of your comfort zone and step into your own creative abilities as the new human and see what magic you can create.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a quote from Brene Brown. I know we just have a second, where she says we need to unpack culture.
Mm.
And it's unpacking all of the shoulds that have been placed on us in our life. You should do this. You should look this way. You should go here. You should do that. And it was so transformative for me. That was in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. And it's just like, well, what if I played with that? What if I did do that? You know, what would that feel like?
Yeah. What
And
if you practice that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it just becomes fun and
Yeah.
instead of pressure, right?
Yeah. And I'm gonna close this segment with one more. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
my
this
pleasure.
wonderful inspiration on self-care and understanding that when we go through difficult times in life is what we really need to do and how to get through it. There's plenty of support and things that you can do to take care of yourself. One of our hosts in the KS Media Group, her motto this year, her theme for this year, which I am also practicing, which I love, is this: how easy can I allow it to be?
Mm,
How easy can I allow it to be, right? And then may we all practice that ease. So
mhm.
as we're going through our difficult times, how easy, because we're already going through the hard times. We've already gone through the difficult times. How easy can we allow it to be? So I want to thank you so much, Karin, for coming on. I know we're going to bring you back for a longer discussion. I look forward to that with you. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. My next guest is Karin Mohler, who 5 years ago had to come to terms with an unexpected divorce. She didn't want to get stuck with her saboteurs. She knew she wanted to go on this traumatic journey with love because letting go of an unexpected divorce is going to bring all kinds of things up. So if you're finding yourself in a situation like that, this is the segment for you. Everything changed when she learned to incorporate mental fitness into her daily routine. And the effect has been so life changing that she decided to become certified as a life coach in order to help other women maneuver their midlife in a way that empowers them. Welcome to the show today, Karin Mohler.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
And let's tell the audience, you are from Switzerland. You're in Switzerland, calling into the show, coming on. It's
Mhm.
9:15 p.m. there. So thank you so much for coming on. Now, I just want to say, going like so many people are finding themselves in with loss, all kinds of unexpected events that are taking place, whether it's a health condition or a loss of a loved one or a divorce, something like that. So that happened to you. And so you had no idea that this was coming?
I had no idea that this was coming. No, it was just a kind of like I'm walking the dog, me saying, I'll join you. And then he turns around and says, actually, I'm going to move into the room next door. So it's like, oh, okay. What do you do with that? And there's no talking about it. There's no discussion about it. It's just a decision that's been taken. So yeah, that sort of kind of, yeah, toppled me over.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
how did that make you feel?
Well, I went through a process of grieving, basically. I mean, it started off, I couldn't, I had to call a girlfriend the next morning and say, I can't move, I can't move. My
Yeah.
body, just couldn't cope with it. And yeah. And then the next thing I did was decide to go on a pilgrimage. So I walked the Camino de Santiago de
Oh, good.
Compostela in the north of Spain.
Mhm.
So I just, I packed, I told him I'm leaving for 6 weeks. He said, no, 6 weeks? Me alone with the kids and the dog? No, outrageous. That's too long. So I said, okay, 5 weeks. And then I packed my bag, my rucksack, and I went and I cried the whole way and I walked the whole way and met the most amazing people, the most amazing priests as well on the way. It's a very religious kind of experience as well. So, lots of wisdom that was shared with me. And yeah,
I'm I'm
that was
I'm
the beginning.
curious. Are you married today?
No,
No. So you're single now.
I'm
And
single. Yeah.
pardon?
Yes, I'm single. Yes.
Yeah, and how long were you married before?
Well, actually, we weren't actually officially married. We were just we lived together for 19 years, and we
Oh,
had
you were
and we had
married.
yeah, we were married, but not officially. So yeah, and we have 3 children together. So yeah.
That's big. Yeah, that's big. I mean, 20 years with someone, 3 children, that's, you know, and then all of a sudden to get this news and really how this changed your life.
Mm.
And once you started going through the release process and everything, because you became a life coach, you became
Yes.
a life coach. And did you become a life coach because of the support and help that you received from life coaches?
So yeah, I found after like various detours on Facebook with kind of like, women complaining about in horrible ways about their ex-partners and finding that that's not very useful. I found a group, for divorced women.
Oh yeah.
And online, and it was a kind of a course, and I joined that, and I was really intrigued because I'd never come across life coaching before.
I
um, and it was all about looking forwards and looking, what can I make out of this, and yeah, going back into the past and looking at where did I go wrong as well. There's always two sides to the story. What red flags did I not listen to, even though at the time, when you look back, you think, oh, actually, I did feel a bit strange when he'd said this or did that. But then you choose to ignore it. And that helped me understand the worth of life coaching in that it looks forwards, and it looks at where you are now and where you want to go, and it helps you do that rather than just sit there and kind of smother in self-pity, because of course there was a lot of huge amounts of self-pity, of course, huge amounts of self-pity. um and um and that basically did give me the knowledge that inside that I do want to become a life coach. And the amazing women, I have to say, that I have met in these 5 years, the friendships, and most of them are all over the world. They're not actually here, physically here where I live, have been incredible in my whole, personal growth journey. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you now in a place where you're feeling um, liberated and empowered after what happened?
Yes, I think I can safely say that I do feel like especially the beginning of this year. So the issue is that we still see each other quite regularly because we have a
Oh,
dog. We have a dog, and so it's still, I still feel triggered when I see him in that I just feel sadness or whatever. But when I'm traveling, I feel completely free, and I feel completely, excited about my new life and empowered. This empowered, it really is the correct word for the way I feel this year, 2024 really feels like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And you know, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, what I feel from you is that sense of empowerment and liberation, how I would feel if that was me that had gone through, this type of an experience. So you're helping people now with your life coaching business. How can people look you up on social media and find you?
So my Instagram is Camino Me Coaching. Is there a .com with Instagram? I don't think there is. That's the email. So it's just Camino Me Coaching. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Karin Mohler, my name. And I'm also on Facebook under Karin Mohler. I think it's Karin Mohler. Karin Mohler. So yeah, and I also have a website as well, but perhaps social media is probably the better way.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what you're saying now is that after having gone through everything that you've gone through, the loss and the grief and letting go of the relationship, where you're going now in 2024, you're the one that's empowered in your life and you're moving forward. So what is it that you want to say to the audience, with some key words to leave them with, that if they're going through anything like that, what do you want to remind them of?
Well, there is help out there, you know, like via coaches to find your, to find your true calling, and that there is an opportunity to be made out of, every situation that happens in your life, however traumatic or tragic. There is, there is the opportunity, if you choose to do so. It's your choice to grab, this opportunity to turn it into something that that you can find valuable.
Right, right. And remember that you used the word earlier before we came on, how resilient you are.
Yeah, resilience is one of my, I found that resilience is one of my, I mean, it has two sides, he would argue that, why don't you just forget me? And I think, but then also resilience for my own life, has proved that, I learned surfing when I was 50, just after he left. I did all these things, all of these travels. I've met amazing women. I've, set up my business. And I get to help other women on their journey, not necessarily with divorce, but whatever it is that they want to create for their lives. And that, of course, is amazing.
Yeah, and it could be any kind of loss. It could be any kind of loss, picking up and believing in yourself, what you said earlier, also believing in yourself, being motivated to show up in your life and begin again. And sometimes that can seem daunting, but maybe at this point in time, it can also feel liberating for the first time in your life, that you may create something that's just for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I want to thank you so much, Karin, for coming on the show today. And I definitely want to have a further conversation with you. And we'll be in touch. I'll have Ashley message you. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Natana Mayer. She's the founder of Work Design for ADHD, and her consultancy is reshaping the future of work to be a more neuro-inclusive one. Natana believes that work should bring out the best in people with ADHD. She's on a mission to make sure that everyone, no matter how their brain works, can work together well. She calls this neuro collaboration. Natana works with ADHD staff, HR teams, and leaders to provide workshops, trainings that make neuro collaboration a reality. Welcome to the show today, Natana.
Thank you for having me.
So great. And I just want to tell the audience our last guest was from Switzerland and you're from Australia. What time is it there now?
It's 7:30 a.m. You don't need any round ticket trip around the world. You're making your way already. What's the time there for you?
Well, we are now at 12:34 p.m., but you are already in the next day.
I am in the future and I can report the weekend's really nice.
Oh, good. Yeah, great. I certainly love what you're doing out there. You got started there somewhere. How this all came to be with what you're doing now. Why don't you tell us about it? Like what happened to you?
Sure. So, as weird as it sounds, my spine almost crushed me to death. The way that it began was actually slow, but also very fast. I have a rare genetic condition called Ehlers-Danlos. What it means is that my body builds faulty amino acids. So the building blocks that make up everything in my body, your muscles, your ligaments, skin, everything, it's faulty. So the way that that manifests is you have insane flexibility. You have velvet soft skin. But what it also means is that if I'm, for those watching, you could see how stretchy my skin is, and you can see how I can bend
Oh,
my
yeah.
fingers in all these different ways. Yes, as a kid, I had a lot of party tricks. So things bend in ways that they're not meant to bend. And that included my spine. So when I was about 17 years old, my spine was so flexible and the muscles were so flexible that it couldn't hold itself up. So it started bending and bending and bending. And I had a very, very severe form of scoliosis. Now, scoliosis is pretty normal. It affects like a 0 to 15 degree curvature is really normal. In the spine, it actually affects a lot of like teen girls. But the thing is, what was unheard of was the level of curvature and the speed of it as well, because usually it takes years for it to get so bad that they say, okay, you need surgery. It needs to get to 40 degrees. That is considered terrible terrible life quality. So because of that, and they consider back surgery as worst case scenario, because having titanium in your spine, it's a dangerous surgery. So especially on like a growing kid. So they'll do whatever they can to postpone, to strap in different ways. But my spine was so flexible that I was losing 3 centimeters a day. And usually use a little bit of height. It's about just under 1 centimeter. I'm not sure what that is in inches. It's a little bit of compression. For me, I'm losing this much. I would say that's probably an inch.
Yeah.
I would lose that a day. And I'm this kid. I'm like, something's not right. I'm losing so much height. I'm way shorter at night. I started measuring myself every morning, first thing in the morning, first thing at night. And that's how I found out that I'm losing that much height. So it's happening at a crazy speed where my spine would start collapsing in on itself within hours in the day. That's insane. It usually takes years for something like that to happen. But the thing is, when I saw the specialists, they didn't believe me. They thought I was just some kid that had some kind of theory that didn't understand what was happening. And that's because Ehlers-Danlos is really misunderstood. A lot of doctors, they get one lecture about it at uni and they get told, people with Ehlers-Danlos call themselves zebras. And it's because at uni, doctors get told that when they hear hooves, they need to think of horses, not zebras. Go for the most obvious problem. Go for what the most obvious and simple solution will be. Don't go for the most complicated. Ehlers-Danlos is considered the most complicated the most complicated reason. So it means a lot of people go their whole life not knowing that they have Ehlers-Danlos. So because of that, and because there isn't a lot of research around it, and because doctors don't know about it really well, they had no idea that it would manifest this way. But I'm this smart-ass kid, and I think I know better. So I start putting the evidence together, and I'm like, well, I'm going to show you. So I track it for like 6 months, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And look, at this point, my rib cage is resting on my pelvis. All the muscles between there are jammed. Doctors tell me I should be having heart and lung failure because the way that my rib cage is just like crushing in on itself because of the curvature of my spine. And I remember that when I would go for like the x-rays and the tests, they would be so surprised that I wasn't in a wheelchair, because they said to me, you shouldn't be able to walk right now with the level of curvature. But one of the pros of having Ehlers-Danlos, it's the thing that risked my life, but it's also the thing that saved my life, because I would have had heart and lung failure. I would have been in that wheelchair if it weren't for the fact that my organs were just as flexible as my spine. So my spine never punctured anything. My rib cage never punctured anything. Everything just squished. And the crazy thing is that they were like, okay, we got to have this surgery. We got to do something to stop it. What they did was they got these 2 titanium rods for the whole length of my spine, and they fused it to my back. And the thing is, I was terrified because it was a week before my 18th birthday, and I was having dreams of being in a wheelchair. I could see it so vividly. I could see how the surgery could go so wrong. And all people could tell me was like, it will be okay. Like, don't worry. And it's like, yeah, easy for you to say, you're not going under the knife. And I ended up befriending this guy from Canada. He was around my age, and he was going through open heart surgery. And we really bonded together over it. And I went through the surgery. It was an 8-hour surgery. Only one surgeon does it in the whole state of Western Australia, and they only do it once a week, and there's a 2-year waiting list. And I was at the bottom of that waiting list at one point. But yeah, I finally get there. They do this 8-hour surgery, and I come out, and they go to me, they've never seen results like this before, because they kept on saying to me, they didn't realize how flexible my spine is because they weren't believing me. So they said, look, the best we could do is we straighten you up to 40 degrees, because I was at 87-degree curvature, which is insane. I wish I had the photos to show you right now. And they said, look, the best we could do is get you down to 40. And 40 is still considered a horrible quality of life, where you're in pain every day. You have nerve pain, you have muscle pain, you can't walk properly, all of that. But when I got, sorry?
May I stop you for a moment?
Yes.
I just want to say I have taken in everything that you're saying, and I'm like completely wow. We have a minute and a half left.
Oh no.
And I can see that the story is not complete. There's so many questions I have for you. I'd like to have you come back for a longer show if you're up for it, and give us the whole story. But still, the audience that's listening to this, as you can see, this beautiful angel woman is just extraordinary with her inspiration and what she's telling us. And you are such a beautiful speaker and articulator, I just want to say. Gorgeous. I want to let the audience know how they can look you up and follow you on social media.
Yeah, so my name's Natana Mayer. If you look me up on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, my consultancy Work Design for ADHD is all about making the workplace more neuro-inclusive and actually working with the ADHD brain and creating a blueprint for workplace productivity. We could all come together and get the best out of each other. So if you're interested in that and you want to find out more about that, there's my website, workdesignforadhd.com. And there's LinkedIn as well, where I post a lot of that content. And sometimes I share about little glimpses of my back, but I've never shared the whole story like this before. So it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure doing this. And 5 minutes flies so fast.
Oh my God, totally. That's why I want you to come back for an hour show. I want to be able to hear your story in full 30-minute, where we can talk about your story. And then I really want to get into the ADHD as well, because there's a lot there. And I totally, when I was reading your bio, I totally see how what you're putting together, how helpful that is in the workplace, because there's so many people that are like that. So we have a lot to do together, and we might as well get us on the schedule. I'll have Ashley connect us. And Natana, thank you so much for being so vulnerable today, and for coming on and for sharing your story.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me and having this show and creating this space. And I look forward to part 2.
Part 2, so good. So great. Thank you, everyone. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Vanessa Cardenas is here. She believes that self-love and self-trust, I bet you could use some of that, can be reignited even in the wake of the most devastating betrayals. Vanessa is a dedicated betrayal recovery specialist, a transformational coach, inspirational speaker, and author with over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive mentor. She holds a degree in industrial psychology and is certified in various disciplines, including trauma coaching, life coaching, post-betrayal, transformation, institute host, 6-phase meditation trainer, and mental fitness instructor. Vanessa's unwavering dedication to betrayal recovery is grounded in Eric Edmondes' hindsight window theory, which enables individuals to reframe negative events. She empowers others to see betrayal not as a mere pain, but as an opportunity for growth, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Leveraging her extensive background, Vanessa is dedicated to guiding individuals on the path to healing from betrayal, fostering genuine transformation, and empowering you to reach your full potential. Welcome to the show today, Vanessa. Oh my God.
Cornelia, thank you so much. Oh, we're going to have a wonderful little brief conversation, but we're going to get a lot accomplished.
It's a power punch. It's a power punch. So, when we hear the word betrayal, it's not, people don't realize that the gold is to go into the betrayal rather than run from it. People don't realize that. As soon as they hear the word betrayal, everyone runs the other direction. So how did you get started in this most amazing, beautiful work?
Well, no one studies betrayal unless you've gone through it. And I went through it. I could not believe the 3 words that my husband said to me that I never, ever thought he would say. I've met someone. And my whole world shattered. In an instant, my whole world shattered. And I found myself in that darkness, that cesspool, that just, why was I suffering so much? Why was I numbing and avoiding and distracting myself from the huge elephant in the room, betrayal? And I discovered that the reason for me that it was so intense was that I had had all of these little micro betrayals throughout my entire life, starting in childhood, but I didn't have the language for it, nor the understanding of exactly what was happening. And what happened was they just built on top of each other. They kept stacking on top of each other. Then when I got this massive one, I've met someone, whew, oh my goodness. And I fell into that despair. Oh, it was so gut-wrenching. And I started searching out for all the gurus, for all those that could help me, just help me feel better. And I have always been a perpetual student. And I knew that if I learned this betrayal recovery with the intention of teaching it to someone else, that I would get through the recovery process accelerated a little better, because I knew that when I was no longer able to change the situation. I couldn't change the betrayal. So I was challenged to change myself. And I did. Oh, I'm a beautiful example what is actually possible on the other side of betrayal. I'm a completely different woman than I was before the betrayal. And people who haven't seen me in 10 years, when they see me, they're floored. They're like, wow, because I now have the most beautiful, beautiful quality that you get when you go through betrayal. And it's the most attractive quality as well. It's confidence. Oh, I wear confidence. I am so comfortable in my own skin. And I want that for other women to feel that way. It's so liberating and it's so empowering, especially when we've gone through our lives being everything to everyone else. We're a great wife, a great mother, a great employee, a great everything else, but we lose sight of ourselves. We lose sight of ourselves. And sometimes we need that rude awakening, that catastrophic event to happen in our lives to really understand who we actually are.
Yeah.
And we're amazing.
I just want to say, like, so how long have you been now since you heard those 3 words? I mean,
Oh,
how
I'm
long?
almost, yeah, I'm almost a decade removed.
Okay, so a decade, 1 day. That's cool. So 1 decade, and because I want to highlight something with this, what you said. I really appreciate you said how betrayal goes back into your childhood. It's just kept on little subtleties, kept on stacking on top of each other. It's a really great way to look at when shadow aspects happen to us in our childhood, and we put scarves on it, and we cover it up and we cover it up and we cover it up until it becomes so covered up that at one point in our lives, it then needs to get exposed so that we can really heal that core issue. So I'm glad that you said it that way. Um, and what I really like is, you have an amazing background of certifications and degrees and everything that you've done. And at the same time, your life experience with what you had experience with your husband telling you, I met someone, and then you went through this betrayal journey and healing all of that. Um, this is firsthand experience on how to transform something in your life without necessarily going to betrayal school, because life is the school and you were the student.
Oh, beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I'd
Right.
love to add to that
Yeah.
is it's a journey like no other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Your confidence does exude. I can feel it coming through the screen. So I know you're helping many women and men, I'm sure, that are because there's men that get betrayed too. It's not just women. So healing their betrayal. And how is it that they can find you on social media? What so that they can look you up and
Mm,
yeah.
thank you so much for that. Well, the easiest place to find me is my URL, my website, which is understandingear.com. It
Oh,
comes from a quote. The hardest things to say are the most important things to say, not for the want of a teller, but for the want of an understanding ear.
that's
Un-
so beautiful. How do you spend your life now? Like, what is it that you do? You go on speaking engagements, you do, I feel like you do, right? Do you do on speaking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keynote speeches, I love being on stage. I love interacting with the audience
Oh, you
and
love acting with
oh,
the audience. Yeah.
love
Yeah.
workshops.
Like,
Any,
like who's your audience? Like when you go on keynote speeches, who is it, the people that you're talking to?
it's usually women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, usually either experiencing a betrayal, like head on, or contemplating divorce.
Okay, because like when we look at when we look at betrayal, you would think that most of the time, like a betrayal is done like in business when it comes to finances, when it comes to money, when it comes to someone stole something from you and you were betrayed, that kind of thing. And it's not just in romantic relationships or life partnerships. It's in other areas as well. But
Sure.
I think, the work you're doing is so needed because especially now as we move forward into 2024, lots of betrayals are coming to the surface.
Yeah.
So you should be doing an all around tour in America and go speak about betrayal. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to have Ashley connect us for a longer conversation. Love to have you come back. Thank
I
you so much for coming on today and sharing this beautiful topic with us.
thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning into the Kornelia Stephanie Show. I just love doing this show, and you can see why. I hope that it was inspirational, motivational, and helpful to you. And we'll see you all again next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.